RuneScape. Does that ring a bell? For about 200 million of you, it should. So what is a RuneScape? Well, it's a fantasy MMORPG, a massively multiplayer online role-playing game developed by Jagex in 2001. When you first logged into RuneScape, you were given a brief tutorial, then thrown straight into a fantasy world with no stats or items to your name. From there on, you were free to complete quests, explore the world, fight bosses, and train your character. Like many MMOs, RuneScape had a rich economy, and today we're going to draw some parallels between Gilnor and Planet Earth. The rich economy in RuneScape stemmed from the wide variety of items in the game. Just like in the real world, natural resources were available to be harvested, be it through mining, fishing, farming, or slaying mythological beasts using magical weapons. Okay, maybe not the last one. Every item in the game was tradable and had a purpose, whether it was a dragon's bones or the weapons you used to slay that dragon. Importantly, there were no fixed prices as such. Whatever you had was worth whatever another player was willing to pay you for it. If you're familiar with the stock market, you might have heard terms thrown around like open outcry, trading floor, and the pit. Well, long before Robinhood and electronic trading, stocks were traded mostly by hand in peer-to-peer transactions on what was called the trading floor of places like the New York Stock Exchange. They would use the open outcry system, shouting and using various hand signals to find a counterparty for their trades. RuneScape wasn't so different. In early days before the Grand Exchange, players would gather in designated trading areas to buy and sell items, typically the banks. If you had something to sell, you sat there spamming in chat, something like, selling lobsters for 100 gold. Eventually someone would come by who wanted your item and you'd trade. By the early 2000s, open outcry and floor trading was on its way out due to the rise of efficient electronic trading. Instead of using paper ledgers and face-to-face transactions, both buyers and sellers could use the internet to connect to a trading platform. In an electronic system, assets can be bought and sold instantaneously with no paper filing delays. What's more, trading began to become accessible to a far wider audience, not just your suit and tie wearing trader. Fast forward to 2007, and RuneScape would undergo one of its most ambitious updates, the introduction of the Grand Exchange. The Grand Exchange did for RuneScape what electronic trading did for stock exchanges. Instead of going into Varrock Square or Falador Park and typing your trade offers, you could now use the Grand Exchange to put in a buy or sell offer for your desired item. The prices were determined by the players and fluctuated constantly based on supply and demand. If no one was willing to buy your item at the price you set, the order would go unfilled. Think of your brokerage today. If you put in an order to buy shares of Google for $1, no one's going to fill that order. Likewise, you couldn't buy a Dragon Full Helm in the Grand Exchange for 1 gold. Transactions were also anonymous, just like buying a share on your brokerage account. You had no idea who was on the other side of the trade. It wasn't an auction house, but a true marketplace. If buying an item, your order would be instantly routed to the cheapest sell offer and vice versa. The Grand Exchange had a public price index on the RuneScape website. Just like you can look up the price history for a stock, you could look up the price history of any item on RuneScape. There would be uptrends and downtrends, good and bad investments. If a new boss was coming out and you knew healing items would be in high demand, you could stockpile supplies and sell them later for a huge profit. If you were more of a trader than an investor, that was fine too. You could buy and sell items on the Grand Exchange, scalping the bid-ask spread, the difference between the current lowest sell order and the highest buy order, a process known in the community as flipping. If nothing else, this would be the start of many people's interest in financial markets around the world. We couldn't make a video about the RuneScape economy without mentioning rare items. If you currently live anywhere on, well, planet Earth, you've undoubtedly heard of Bitcoin, the world's leading cryptocurrency. But rewind 10 years, and there's only a handful of people who know what a Bitcoin even is. This phenomenon of parabolic market capitalization isn't unique to Bitcoin, and shares an overwhelming similarity to Partyhats in RuneScape. First introduced into the game in the 2001 Christmas event, Partyhats were seen as a junk item. They provided no stats and were purely cosmetic. They were given out for free after all. Who would bother to keep hold of them? As time went on, players realized something they'd missed before. Unlike any other items in the game, these party hats would not be reintroduced into the game ever again. There was a finite supply, and savvy players quickly realised these items could be used for a store of value. Buying a RuneScape party hat back in 2001 would have set you back next to nothing. Today, party hats are the most expensive items in the entire game, and range from 50 to 100 billion RuneScape gold, or 5 to 10,000 US dollars. In the same way, Bitcoin has a finite supply, therefore the value of each Bitcoin will eventually rise in the future due to a lack of supply. To close, RuneScape is an awesome game, but its most crowning achievement could be its ability to act as a social experiment. For the majority of the player base, this was their first time participating in a real-time live marketplace that fluctuated based on supply and demand and speculation. We certainly have fond memories of spamming buy orders in Varrock Westbank, and we'd love to hear your experience of the game too. Thanks for watching, and as always, please don't forget to like and subscribe so that we can see you next time. Cheers!